could a deal between Chris Jones and the Kansas City Chiefs be in the works? Well, that's the reports we're getting right now, as we're going to have some rumors to talk about here on the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Jay Sanders. We're going to talk about an athletic report that really goes down the whole rundown of why Chris Jones and Kansas City may actually be closer to a deal than people think, and the growing optimism just continues to grow and grow. But I will tell you this, if you want Chris Jones to sign with the Chiefs, well then like the video. Listen, I want CJ back in a Chiefs uniform as much as anybody, and if you do, don't be the jinx, go down there, like the video, because I guarantee you, you hit that like button, he's going to resign on March 11th, so let's get this going the right way. Go down there. It takes a couple seconds. Scroll down, hit that like button. I'd certainly appreciate it. Let's get into the report here. Dianna Russini had the tweet saying the Chiefs have growing optimism. They'll keep Chris Jones with a new contract, while other interested teams are watching to see if this gets done. It's kind of interesting to see that other teams are kind of waiting in the backcourt, just seeing if there's a deal done or if they will strike. Here's a quote from that athletic article that included Russini and Nate Taylor, a Chiefs reporter, saying, "The race to retain Chris Jones began this week. The Chiefs hope to do just that before 11 a.m. Central Time on March 11th, when agents of unrestricted free agents can enter contract negotiations with any interested team." Chiefs General Manager Brett Veach acknowledged Tuesday that re-signing Jones is the team's top priority. By Thursday afternoon, when several members of the organization flew home to Kansas City, there was growing optimism, according to league sources, that the Chiefs will agree to a new contract with Jones before free agency. Now, I'm going to state the obvious and say this is a very good sign. We know that Chris Jones has been a little bit of a drag sometimes when it comes to contracts. We talk about the holdout situation that happened prior to this season, where he in fact missed the first game of the year against the Lions. Well, hopefully we're not going to get to that point at all this year, and hopefully he signs before the free agency starts in just about a week. Now, Chris Jones, there's a reason he deserves to get paid. He's been doing crazy stuff like you see on your screen right now for the past 6 years since he was drafted with Kansas City. This past 2 years, though, he's really established himself as potentially the best interior defensive lineman in the National Football League. Back-to-back years of double-digit sacks, including in 2022, having 15 and a half. That's some incredible numbers right there, and 10 and a half followed it up this year. Did miss that one game. 13 tackles for loss as well, and he was a critical part of the Chiefs' postseason run to really kind of establish themselves as a defensive-minded team rather than the offensive-minded team we've seen for the past couple of years. Now, a contract would be similar to this. 4 years, $118 million, with about $60 million of it guaranteed. I've seen this contract flying around on SpoTrack, on Twitter, kind of all over the social media platforms. This is the one that I've seen most often. Now, this is just a rough estimate because as of right now, it seems as though Chris Jones is going to be worth around $30 million. Now, this right here would give him 4 for 118. That's equivalent to 29.5 per year. Now, obviously, this is all great news to hear, and you want to hear that CJ is going to sign back with the Chiefs, hopefully pretty soon. But this all does come off the heels of the L'Jarius Sneed news, and obviously, that kind of powers us into here. Now, they know that Chris Jones is the top priority, and like they said in the Athletic article, Brett Veach actually talked about this at the NFL Combine and said that he, quote, wants Chris Jones to be a Chief for life. Listen to the clip right here.
I mean, we're going to, just like last year, with Chris and with LJ, with a lot of our players, we get a chance to meet the agents this week, and he's at the top of the list. You know, love Chris and tried really hard to get something done, and we didn't. But when we got together right after that Detroit game, we had a great talk, and, you know, both parties, I think, want to be here, so we'll get to work, and, you know, that's certainly a guy we want back and love and want to see him finish and end his career here in Kansas City.
You can tell from that just as much as I can that it is obvious. Chris Jones is a top priority, and he is the #1 priority of the Kansas City Chiefs going into the 2024 offseason. And I think it's very true because they need him to, in some ways, have this defense be as good as it was last year. Now, I know that everybody's going to sit here and say, well, L'Jarius Sneed had all these great stats. Correct, but I think as a defensive lineman, the presence almost matters more than the stats you put. And Chris Jones certainly brings a presence to the Kansas City Chiefs defense that really is unlike anywhere else. And something else that's unlike anywhere else, Prize Picks. It's the #1 daily fantasy sports app in North America, and you can get a $100 deposit match by going to prizepicks.com/CLNS and using code CLNS. Now, I know football season may be over, but it's okay because the action on the floor is heating up. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. Once again, prizepicks.com/CLNS, and using code CLNS, you're going to get that first deposit match of up to $100. And obviously, football season is over, but that's not going to stop me from finding some football prize picks. There's got some NFL Combine 40-yard dash times. Troy Franklin, Adonai Mitchell, and Xavier Worthy. I'm going the less on Troy Franklin, 4.36. I think he's not going to be just that fast. And then A.D. Mitchell, 4.51. I'm going less. Bro, he is going to knock that number out of the park. I don't know why A.D. Mitchell's 40 times projected to be 4.51. And then Xavier Worthy. This may be a hot take. I'm going the more on a 4.3 40-yard dash time because that's insane. I don't think it's going to be quite that fast. I think it's going to be really close, but I do not think it'll be quite that fast. So some cool, interesting prize picks you can put in right now while the NFL Combine is going on. Again, you can go check it out at prizepicks.com/CLNS using code CLNS for that first deposit match. But honestly, testing my skills on prize picks in any form or fashion with NHL, NBA, MLB season coming along. Lots of stuff you can do. And honestly, if you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS for that first deposit match of up to $100. The link will be in the comments and the description of this video. All right, so we've talked about Chris Jones and how that there's growing optimism, but what's the backbone behind that? Well, let's talk about the, reports on the contract. Where has that gone? That was also in the Athletic article. They said this in it. Veach and Chris Shea, the Chiefs Vice President of Football Operations, met in person Tuesday and Wednesday with Jones' agents, brothers Jason and Michael Katz. Similar to this time last year, Jones wants a contract that will pay him an average annual salary of $30 million a year, which would make him the league's third highest paid defensive player behind San Francisco 49ers pass rusher Nick Bosa and Los Angeles Rams defensive tackle Aaron Donald. Obviously, he's a top priority. I don't know if he's worth $30 million. I think that's where I'm drawing the line. I think he's right there. That's why my contract has him at $29.5 million. But I will say this. If you trade away L'Jarius Sneed, you have to get Chris Jones back. You cannot come away empty-handed with those two guys. If I go into 2024 and Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed are both not on Kansas City, that's not a good thing to have. So, obviously, I think the #1 priority has to be Chris Jones, and I think he should be around $29.5 million. That's what I would offer him. I would say 4 years, $118. We'll guarantee you some more money if that's what you want. But $30 million, I know it seems like not a lot. $500,000 when you're talking about millions of dollars is not too much. But when it comes to cap space, Brett Veach is a guy who wants to try and save as much as humanly possible so that he can continue to make this team a Super Bowl caliber level. That needs to be using the money in the right way in every single facet. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Maybe he would give Chris Jones a blank check and say, hey, write what you want on it, you're coming back to Kansas City. Put what you want. Is Chris Jones worth the big paycheck for the Kansas City Chiefs? If he is, then I want you to type Y for yes. If he is not, then I want you to type N for no. Let me know in the comments of this video, is Chris Jones worth that big contract that he's supposedly going to get? Y for yes, N for no. You're going to have a little YouTube ad break, so hey, just scroll down there, answer that. When you scroll back up, it's going to be over. All right, here's how the Chiefs can kind of free up some space. So, as of right now, the current cap space after cutting MVS sat around $38.6 million. Now, if you restructure Patrick Mahomes, Jawan Taylor's contract, and then you cut Lucas Niang, which will save about $1 million, you're going to get close to around $60 million total, which is a decent amount, but you're still going to have to be efficient with that money. What do I mean by efficient? Using in the right manners, using it in the right ways with the right players. Chris Jones is that right player, but just like I said, you got to save money where you can. Now, I will note that $38.6 million does not include Snead because We already know that he is either going to be extended, so that franchise tag number of 19.8 is not going to be that exact number for the cap hit this year, or he is going to be traded, which means that cap number could just go away. We will have to see what exactly happens with that, and that could open up some more space for a bigger contract for Chris Jones. It could limit the space for Chris Jones if they extend him in some ways. So we're going to have to kind of figure that out right now. And we know that Chris Jones is the top priority, so I'm expecting some restructurement of contracts to come in the next couple days as well. Now, the Athletic continued and kind of talked about the Snead and all that's going on with that. Now, we know that the trade is kind of a thing that we could see. They say this. If the Chiefs enter into advanced trade discussions for Snead, they would seek at least a second-round pick. Since Tuesday, 6 teams have shown interest in acquiring Snead, according to a league source. Now, they did not tell us who those teams were, but I will say the fact that there are 6 teams interested, well, that's a good thing. I think that overall, the right move for Brett Veach is to trade L'Jarius Sneed. I know, I love him, I gotcha. You can sit here and yell at me all you want, but L'Jarius Sneed is nowhere near as important as Chris Jones. So therefore, I think you trade him, and you could get a really good package behind it that can honestly set you up for the future and maybe even beyond the future. Here's my best trade value that I have gotten, and it's worked on PFF, it's worked on a bunch of places. I think this would be probably the perfect trade. You trade L'Jarius Sneed to the Rams, and you get back round 2, pick 52, and round 5, pick 177. You're getting a mid-level second-round pick, obviously not an upper-tier one, but you're also getting a 5th-round pick on top of it, which would make you have 3 5th-round picks. It's going to set you up for depth, and it's going to allow you to kind of maneuver these rookies that you're going to get, and we've seen they do really well with the draft. You talk about Leo Chenal, who was drafted in 2022, Isaiah Pacheco, Trent McDuffie. I mean, these guys, Brett Veach knows how to draft them. You get this, you're able to do a lot of things. Plus, I know this would work because the Rams are no way going to be not looking for a cornerback. I mean, we talked about Jalen Ramsey in a previous show. They wanted to trade for him. This could be a similar situation of getting a cornerback. Jalen Ramsey got him a Super Bowl. Maybe they try and dive back into the bucket with L'Jarius Sneed. We appreciate you watching, as always, Chiefs Kingdom. I know there's a lot of news going on, but guess what? We got you covered right here on the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. So if you have time, go down there, hit that subscribe button. It takes a couple seconds, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Or just scroll down there, little red subscribe button, click it, it'll turn gray. That'll make me super, super happy. All right, we appreciate you watching, and for now, peace out.